Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about three stories from my childhood days, three scary stories from my childhood days. These are stories that are almost 15 to 20 years old since I read them, for some of them. So please, and I'm recalling them from memory. So please, this is not like a serious book review. It's just like from memory, you know. So, but these are stories that I still get emotions thinking about them. I still feel a certain way thinking about it, even though I cannot remember everything. For the first story I'm going to talk about, which is Joys of Motherhood, I still feel sad anytime I picture the book, and picture myself in secondary school when we're reading it in class. All I can feel is sadness. And then the second book I'm going to talk about is Sugar Girl by Kola Onadipe. Anytime I picture it, I can picture. Let me tell you what I feel when I picture it. Oh my god! Anytime I picture Ralia, the Sugar Girl, I can actually, I feel afraid because I was about 6 years, 7 years when that book was read in primary school. I also can smell burnt beans. I am not kidding, because I remember that there's a chapter, like it's quite I have some kind of, you know I don't know. I actually can picture burnt beans anytime I think of that story. So, and I cannot even remember everything about the story, but I know that there was burnt beans. I knew that there was a blind person, there was a lame person, there was a witch. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the three stories I'm going to talk about is, the first one is going to be The Joys of Motherhood by Buchi Emecheta. The second one is going to be um, Sugar Girl by Kola Onadipe. And the third one is not actually a book I've read. It is a folklore from secondary school, which is the most popular of every um creepy pasta kind of thing, any urban legend, any millennial you ask. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but like any Nigerian millennial that went to boarding school or secondary school in Nigeria knows this story. They know different versions of the story. There are so many versions of the story. So, but the story is, guess. All right, fine. I'm gonna say it. It's Lady Koi Koi. Are you guys excited? All right, let's start with the first one. The first one, I can't really remember. I think, okay, the first story, The Joys of Motherhood, is about a woman. I can't remember her name. Oh, okay. I think her name is Unu Ego. I'm not sure, but anyways, the story is about this woman, like, just making her way through life, and it's set in this I cannot remember the era, but I remember that it's set in the period where, like, Nigeria was still under British rule, and the most Nigerians at the times were doing menial jobs, to make ends meet for the British, people, just trying to make her way through life. And at the time, even up till now, to an extent, but at the time it was worse than now. It was a time where women were valued by their ability to give birth to sons, and I remember that she had such a hard time giving birth to children. I remember feeling so sad. She just had such a hard time. Finally, she gave birth, and some of them died. And I just feel like I have unresolved emotions towards that book, because I don't feel it even had a happy ending, despite all the things that Nuego went through. I feel like he didn't even have a happy ending. She had some daughters and then some sons, and I feel like her daughters, continued the whole birthing children, to have some sort of respect in the community. I cannot really remember, but I remember it was just a book full of trauma for this woman, for this heroine. It was just one trauma after the other. When you think, oh, finally something good, then something bad happens. Once her husband was drafted into the war. I think there was a war in that book. Yeah, her husband was drafted into war, and he even had a second wife. Despite her sacrifice for this man and for this family, trying to build a legacy, sort of. It just still had such a sad ending. I cannot remember the ending, but I remember feeling sad. I don't. It was just like a story of a woman who just gave all to be a mother, to be a wife, and I feel like she gave up friendships and everything. And at the end of the book, I think she died alone, you know. I don't know if she was sick, but it was, and then I feel like even people from people, her community looking at her, they thought, oh, she had such a perfect life before because she had so many children, and oh, she sacrificed so much. And I believe that even in today's world, it's like a normal thing to expect women to give up every part of themselves, you know, for their families, you know, so much so that they do not even have their own personality or things that they do just for themselves, you know. So I feel like this book is like a cautionary tale that just because you're a mom, you know, doesn't mean you should give up friendships, um you know, or your own hobbies. I don't think that I know that the normal Nigerian response to things like this, especially when it comes from someone single who is not married, is like, oh, get married first and let's see. But I believe that there are women who are married and doing it. You know, I believe that there should be a part of ourselves as women that we save for ourselves. You know, it's from this part that you can give out and give happily and not resentfully, because when you keep giving every part of yourself, you're not being taken care of, you're not being nourished, you're not being given back to, it gets to a point where you become very resentful. So I just feel like that is the long and short of this story. It's really an interesting story, but I just feel, I think I have the book at home, but I kind of feel a dread to go back to read it because it's, I remember feeling so sad as a child reading the book. I, as a teenager, reading the book in school when we were reading it during classes. Usually, when we read such books during classes, I would go on my own to complete them on my own to read ahead of the class. But I couldn't do that because it was a sad book. I just waited for class periods to read the book because it was really a sad book. Okay, the second story I'm going to talk about is Ralia. Is The Sugar Girl by Kola Onadipe. And it's very ironic that I remember more of this story with the Sugar Girl than I do of Joys of Motherhood. It's really quite ironic because I read it later than I read the Joys of Motherhood. But you know, memory is such a tricky thing. Anyway, that being said, I remember that the Sugar Girl was about Ralia. Ralia was just like this. Ralia was like this. You know, this effervescent child. You know, that everyone loves. This kind of children that everybody just loves. She was so pretty. I think, you know, she was so pretty and everybody just loved her. Just, you know, those children that just radiate happiness. I think the mother was blind and her father was lame. So, and despite her circumstances, you know, of having disabled parents, she was still so happy, you know. She was just so playful. I think she also had a dog. Yes, she had a dog and she had lots of friends. But the story goes that Ralia one day got me. I can't remember everything. Please, once again, I can't remember everything. This is from memory, from like, anyways. That being said, Ralia got missing, you know, on her way to an errand or from an errand, I can't remember, but she got missing and she was kidnapped by a witch, an old witch, you know. Anyway, the witch was like really scary and she imprisoned Ralia, you know, and fed her burnt beans. This is the this is the part I cannot forget. I remember the burnt beans so much, you know. And then I remember that the book always started like this. I think not it started like this, but I know that there's a passage that's from the book that's exactly this. Ralia, Ralia, come home, Ralia, her mother cried. I can never forget that part, you know. Anyway, so her mom, okay, yeah. So after she was imprisoned, I think her mom was like, Ralia, Ralia, come home, Ralia, where are you? But Ralia didn't reply, and that's when everybody knew, oh, this girl is missing. So they went looking for her. But I think Ralia got saved from the witch by a hunter and was eventually restored and taken back home to her mom. I can't remember every other. I think the witch was even attacked by the townspeople. And yeah, I remember the part that really traumatized me. Yeah, I believe the witch like threatened Ralia, you know, that she was going to eat her. She was going to pluck out her eyes and like eat her and feed on her blood, which is really, you know, scary. Anyways, that being said, Ralia had a happy ending. She was restored to her parents. All right, the third story we're going to talk about is a Nigerian folklore, and it is Lady Koi Koi. Lady Koi Koi was she's coined Lady Koi Koi because of the sound that her heels make when she's walking. You know the koi 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 sound, the clicking sound of shoes. Just picture your Louis Vuittons don't know if I pronounced that right, but just picture it like show this lady with like a very classy, chic aesthetic. You know, she was so beautiful, but she was also notoriously wicked. She was one of those teachers that beats children, like cane children for no just reason, and she just like yell at you, cane you for just no reason. So I believe I cannot remember all the different versions of the story. But one of the stories stated that she was really mean to, and she really like beat a student, and then the student got her reported and to the principal, and then she was fired from the job, and her way going home in her heels, you know, she got, and she was so upset, like, oh, why would they fire me, blah blah blah. She got into an accident. I shouldn't be smiling saying that. She got into an accident and died, you know. And anyways, uh then after she died, she started to haunt students, you know. Yeah, she would hang around um hostel bedrooms and deal with you, or like inside dark rooms. And she's like notoriously haunting all boarding schools because students you know, were the cause of her death. But there's another one that goes like this, that another story that has this um, kind of plot, another plot. And this one is that yeah, she was beautiful. She was notorious for red heels, and um uh she was notorious for her red heels, and she was also very wicked. And then the students got fed up of her, and they waited for her one day and beat her to a pulp, and she died. And when they noticed that she had died, everybody freaked out, and then they threw her over the fence, you know. And I think she lost her shoe. One of her shoes got missing when they threw her over the fence, and this was her beloved shoe. And because of this, she started haunting students. She said that she notoriously haunts students because of what they did to her, because it resulted in her death. And she's always wearing one shoe, one red shoe, because she's still looking for her second shoe that got missing during her, you know, accident kind of thing. Yeah. All right, that's all for today. If you enjoyed the story, if you enjoyed the stories, if you want to hear more folklores, you want to hear self improvement, like a fresh take on self improvement topics, then hang around because there will be more of them coming to you. Okay, hang around because there'll be more of those. Thank you so much for watching and have yourself a beautiful weekend.